Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us for the Morning Mint. Today, we're so excited to be graced with the presence of Wendy Juan and Tami Kurtz. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Morning. Doing so well. Thank you. Thank you for joining us today. We're thrilled to have you on. We're here to talk about the FiDi market in particular. Financial District is so on fire, and you ladies are the perfect representatives for it because you always do business there. You work closely together and do sell a lot of listings there, bring a lot of buyers there. You both have been longtime residents and homeowners of the area, although I will say Wendy has moved to Brooklyn, and so you have to tune in tonight, everyone, for At Home with Triplemint, where Tami Kurtz gives Wendy Juan an interview, and Wendy gives Tami a tour, and all of us a tour of her beautiful Brooklyn brownstone. So stay tuned this evening at 7 p.m. on our Instagram page. You'll see it. However, we wanted to bring Wendy and Tami on because these two experts have not only purchased property there and lived there for decades, but also they have their finger on the pulse of the current market there. And it's quite remarkable what's happening. And so first, I'd love to talk a bit about both of your experiences having lived there from about 1998. You've seen the neighborhood change tremendously, and I'd love to hear a little bit about what it was like when you moved in, Tami. So tell us what it was like back then.
Oh my gosh, it was a completely different world back in 1998. I moved into the Seaport, and the Fulton Fish Market was still active. There were no services. I'd moved from the Upper East Side where every amenity was right out my door. And I had to travel to the Village for a dry cleaner. There were no grocery stores in the neighborhood. And what a difference it is today.
Wow. That's fascinating. And Wendy, what led to some of the changes that have occurred over the last decade and two in the area?
I think the biggest was what happened with 9/11. So the city decided they want to revive the neighborhood, and what they did was did a lot of abatements. So the sponsors that are thinking of developing, maybe converting some of the financial buildings or commercial buildings into residential condos, they were able to do that and pass on the saving on the tax abatement. So it's a nice. Certainly, it's a nice big chunk of saving that buyers can take advantage of. So there were enough of that to really draw in a nice big crowd and new buyers to come into the neighborhood to help build it. And now, so many years later, we have some of the best restaurants, some of the best schools, and all the amenities that you ever want and more down there.
That's fascinating. So the two of you both had children who went to one of the new schools, and some of these new schools were a response to the influx of residents that came in, right?
Absolutely.
Interesting. And so because how many new schools have been built in the last few years?
Well, 3 elementary schools during our time here. We both had children that were in the inaugural class of the Geary building has a public school in. And at the same time, another new public school opened in Battery Park City. And then a few years later, an additional one in the Seaport.
Wow. So, so naturally, obviously, the market has been shifting for the last 20 years, but what we're seeing today is really quite remarkable. And so, Tami, talk to us about, the market being so on fire. Tell us about what kind of sales are happening, and so we can really get a sense of how on fire it is.
Yeah, I think one of the most interesting stats that shows what's happening here is the number of monthly closed sales that we're seeing now. In 2019, so pre-pandemic, in April, we had closed 18 sales in the financial district, all of the financial district. In 2020, there were 10. We all know that was a bust. But in 2021, this April, 56 sales closed in the financial district. So that's a 211% increase over pre-pandemic numbers, which really shows you that not only are we coming back from the pandemic, but we're coming back from a little slump that we've been in a few years prior.
Wow, that's really, really interesting. And so, Wendy, what is this translating to in terms of days on market? How quickly are homes selling?
Yes, certainly there's a positive momentum going on there too. apartments are selling a lot more quickly. In fact, 20% more quickly. I think 2019, we're looking at 147 days on market. 2021 now is 118 days. So it's all very positive. The market is definitely ticking up. So it's great.
Yeah. Okay. It's great for sellers and great for buyers who, have the right agents like yourselves to find them the right deals. And so what are we looking at in terms of median sale price for these homes? Tami.
Well, right now in the financial district, the median sale price is $1.268 million. And what's interesting about that is that we're now back above the Manhattan median sale price, which is just over $1,064,000. So that's exciting to see too, that we're starting to become a hot neighborhood again.
Wow, interesting. Yes, very interesting. And what does that look like for price per square foot, Wendy?
So yes, we can compare it with just an average Manhattan price per square foot, which is at $1,255 dollars, and financial district we're looking at $1,330 dollars.
Okay.
So certainly it's 6% higher in FiDi. So it just the desirability is there, The price per square foot for a new dev in FiDi is above $2,000 a square foot. That's where we're closing. And the resale is around $1,100. These two numbers really do show us the desirability of this neighborhood. And I think for the sponsors to come into a neighborhood like this and still be able to carve out a market that's higher than what it is, and it really speaks to the strength of the neighborhood, and it's a great place to put your money because there's still a lot of room to grow.
Yeah, well, it is such a really beautiful neighborhood. And whenever I'm down there, I wonder why I don't go more. And so, okay, speaking of new devs, what kind of new devs are we seeing, and how well are they performing, Wendy?
Oh, yes. So one of our favorite ones, right, Tami, is 130 William. It is performing really well. They have sold, I think, about 80% already of their inventory, and it's a big building. They have more than 200 units, and they're completely high-end finishes and with all the amenities that you would ever want. So yeah, I believe the last transaction was a $20 million penthouse that just went into contract.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not too shabby. Not too shabby.
No, not at all.
Okay. And Tami, what are you seeing as well as in new devs?
Yeah, well, in addition to that development, there's a couple on Park Row, which is really becoming a luxury block to live on. Those buildings, 25 Park Row and 33 Park Row, are facing City Hall Park. So everybody has a park view. People on the higher floors also have on the opposite direction a Brooklyn Bridge view. So really interesting. 25 Park Row is 90% sold already.
Oh.
And 33 Park Row just came online. It's a much smaller development, a 30-unit project, but luxury homes that we expect to go pretty quickly.
Wow, that's fascinating. That's fascinating. And so, okay, so tell me, who is it that's moving there? Where are people coming from? Why are they rushing into FiDi now? Tami, what would you say for that?
Well, there's a multitude of reasons, but I think one of the best examples I've experienced recently is that I am finding a lot of people that either left the city or decided to move to Brooklyn during the pandemic, and now they're being called back to their offices here in the financial district, and people don't want to commute. They want to walk to work. So I've seen a huge demand, specifically with some rentals that I just had, of people that, they're like, I worked at 3 World Trade Center, I work over at the Goldman Sachs building. So that's driving a lot of repeat business down here.
Mm-hmm. Fascinating. And Wendy, are you seeing the same thing?
Exactly the same thing. And also, we do, because of how good the schools are and how good the restaurants are, we do draw a good amount of families. Mm-hmm. And that has been the strength of that community and that neighborhood.
Okay, well, this is super fascinating stuff. I want to just encourage all of our viewers, if you are looking to buy a home or to sell your home, Wendy and Tami are incredibly wonderful, not only super knowledgeable about the market, again, having lived there for decades and knowing the buildings in and out, like better than anyone else you're going to know, but also they're wonderful to work with. I personally love spending time with Tami and Wendy, and so I think you would also agree that they're wonderful to work with. So please reach out to Wendy Juan and Tami Kurtz. Their contact information is in our comments, and they're be super happy to help you with any of your purchases or sales. And I want to thank you both for joining us. And, we've been talking about going and grabbing some drinks for a while. So why don't we do that in the Seaport District?
Yes, what a good idea.
Oh,
We
yeah.
have to.
I love it. Okay.
We'll show you around.
Yes. Thank you both so much for joining us. And thank you for joining us, all of you, for the Morning Mints. Stay tuned.
Thank you, Rosana.
And make sure you tune in tonight for At Home with Triplemint, where you're going to see Tami and Wendy all over again, but in Brooklyn. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.